Hi, this is Ashley and I am here for a recommendations video. This time around, for every TV show that I mention, I'm going to mention a book that you might also like. And since all the new TV is coming back for this season and they start premiering and it's such a rush and so much fun, I thought I might recommend some of the shows that I actively watch and I love to delve into and enjoy, that I might make recommendations for those different shows. Some of these shows have very distinct correlations to each other, as in like they're the same genre, and others just feel like they have the same tone and mood to them. So I thought they would go together really well. So these are going to be my recommendations for the TV shows and the books. Let's get right into it. I will say that some of these shows I'm going to mention that they have premiere dates, but I could not think of something that was perfect for the show, so I just didn't give them anything. But I still wanted to mention that these are shows that I'm really looking forward to coming back. The first show that returns actually comes on tonight, September 9th, and that is The League. And unfortunately, I don't have any recommendations for this one, but it's a really funny show and it's coming back for its final season, so I'm looking forward to that. On September 11th, Z Nation returns on Sci-Fi for its second season, and this show is hilarious and ridiculous and over the top, and it is not the best show out there, but it is really entertaining and it has a lot of heart. And it also isn't afraid to pull punches, and it just really worked really well for me. So that's why I'm going to recommend The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, which is hilarious. It's just really funny, and if you read the book, you can kind of see everything that they pretty much talk about, all the different situations, ends up popping up in the show, and I think they just really work well together. September 15th, the Mindy Project returns, and while it was canceled by Fox, Hulu smartly picked it up, and I cannot wait for this next season to come up because I love the Mindy Project. And for this, I decided to recommend Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh, because not only is that book hilarious, but it also can get a little bit sad. And like the Mindy Project, while it's hilarious most of the time, it can still pull at some heartstrings every so often. On September 19th, possibly one of my favorite shows ever, Doctor Who returns for its 9th season. Yes, I am so excited, you don't even know. But for this, I'm going to recommend Red Shirts by John Scalzi. There's just something that when I thought about Doctor Who, I was just like, yeah, definitely it has to be Red Shirts. They just have some sort of vibe that kind of matches up together. They're funny, but they can be serious, and there's a lot that's going on. It's a little bit trippy, and it's just perfect. On September 21st, Gotham returns. I could not think of anything that I really wanted to recommend for Gotham. They're just so... I don't know. The next show on my list is Fresh Off the Boat, which returns on September 22nd. This show had me dying. It was so funny. It is pretty much about this Asian family who moved down to live in Florida and start this new business, which is pretty much a ripoff of the Outback Steakhouse. But this family is just amazing, and they're hilarious, and I just love the show. And so for this, I decided to choose Mort by Terry Pratchett, which is also a very funny book, and it's witty and smart, just like Fresh Off the Boat is, but it's still not afraid of making a really petty, silly joke. On September 27th, Once Upon a Time returns, and for that, this is an easy one. I wanted to go with another retelling, and the best one that I could think of was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Obviously, it's just good. Also on September 27th, Brooklyn Nine-Nine returns. I don't have any recommendations. Clearly, I don't read enough funny books. On September 27th, The Last Man on Earth also returns. And for that, I'm going to recommend The Martian by Andy Weir. It is funny. They are slightly similar concepts, but they both really kind of have the same kind of humor in it to me, except one character is clearly much smarter than the other. On September 23rd, Modern Family returns. I forget if it's even the 6th or 7th season, but it's coming back, and I still have not gotten sick of Modern Family, so I'll be watching it again. But for this, I decided to recommend The Princess Bride by William Goldman, and they just have very similar vibes to me. The way that the story is told is you have a whole bunch of different characters, and you're getting their different perspectives. Very often, like you do with Modern Family, and everything kind of connects back together in the end. And I love The Princess Bride, so recommending it is just fun. Also on September 23rd is the return of Blackish, which is really funny. But again, I do not have anything to recommend for this. I really need to read more humor. On September 24th, How to Get Away with Murder comes back. This is like my show. I loved it, and I'm so excited for the next season. So good. But for this, I'm going to recommend Half Bad by Sally Green, and this is largely because while you do have a protagonist that you're rooting for, the character's really not that good. Get it? Half bad. And so I really think that it kind of pairs up with the kind of tone that you get from How to Get Away with Murder, because those characters are pretty awful, let's be honest. On September 24th, Heroes Reborn returns, and I'm going to recommend Anti-Goddess by Kendari Blake. So pretty much they are people with powers, and they're in the real world, and they just work. It just works. So trust me. On September 29th, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back, and this is my show. I love this. I got my boyfriend to finally watch it. He binged the entire second season in a weekend. It is that great. It's amazing. But the first season isn't so great. But now that we've moved past the stumbling blocks, it's great. And for this, I'm going to recommend Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. In both the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and in Mistborn, you have these teams, and they are fighting, and it's kind of, most people don't know about what's going on, and I think they work really well, and there's powers, and it's great. They're both great. On October 1st, Sleepy Hollow returns, and for that I'm going to recommend Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Alder, and it is a similar kind of world where there's things that are going on that most people don't know about, but like they can still see it and things happen, they just deny it. And I really think that the two things kind of work. One's demons, one is spirits, and it just, check it out. Also on October 1st is the return of Bones, which is going into its 11th season, and I still like Bones. It's kind of just like Remedy show for me at this point. Just turn it on, and it's bound to catch my interest. But I'm not really quite as invested in it as I used to be. But for this, I'm going to recommend Murders in the Rue Morgue. They have the same kind of vibe, to me at least. The next show I'm going to mention is The Flash, which comes back on October 6th, and it follows the superhero character, The Flash. It is going into its second season, and it is really fast-paced and a lot of fun, and it works with a really strong team dynamic, which is why I am recommending Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. It is also about superheroes, but it's a very different take on superheroes, but the same team bond is kind of there, and that's something that I really love. And I think it's a good pair. On October 6th is iZombie. And iZombie is going into its second season, and this is actually the major reason why I decided to do this video, because I wanted to recommend to people who like iZombie to check out this book, and that book is Croak by Gina D'Amico. I just read it, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. It was funny, it was creepy, it was eerie, it was weird, there was a whole lot going on. There's more going on in the background, and I just thought that the two paired together perfectly. So Arrow, which airs on the CW on Wednesdays, will return on October 7th. Unfortunately, I don't have a recommendation for that one. Felicity and Oliver, Forever, Elicity is Life. On October 7th, Supernatural, one of my favorite shows ever, is returning for its 11th season. I love this show. It is not as good as it used to be, but the relationship between the brothers and Cass is just, it gives me life. And so for this, I'm going to recommend The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. The reason why I'm pairing them together is because they both have this sense of a world that is outside of the regular world that most people just don't know about. And there's some really great snark in both things. So, on October 7th, American Horror Story Hotel returns. So obviously Hotel is not returning, but American Horror Story as a whole is returning. This theme is hotel, and while I don't really know exactly how this is going to go, I do know that American Horror Story is always a bit weird. And so for this, I'm going to choose Horns because it is both weird and scary and fantastic and amazing. And I think more people should read Horns, but beware, there is some touchy material in there, but it is amazing and scary and horrifying and upsetting and just, it's fantastic. On October 8th, The Originals returns, and I don't have anything for this either. Sorry. The Vampire Diaries returns on October 8th. If you don't know about the Vampire Diaries by now, then I really don't know what to tell you, but unfortunately I don't have a recommendation for this one either. On October 8th, Haven on Sci-Fi returns for the last half of its final 5th season, and I really enjoy this show. It's got a little bit weird over time, but I love the idea of the mystery and trying to figure it out and the powers and all of that that's going on, which is why I thought The Hound of the Baskerville was the best choice. This is by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and it is one of the Sherlock Holmes novels. It is short, it is great, there's a little bit of mysticism, but it's also still Sherlock Holmes, and everything gets sorted out, and it's just really interesting, and I think they work well together. Next is The Walking Dead. It returns on October 11th, I believe. My mind is blanking. I'll put the right date up there. But I am going to recommend The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. Honestly, this wasn't my favorite, but I did really enjoy it, and it was very different. And the reason why I'm recommending this one in particular is because you kind of get to see the chronicle and the evolution of the characters. And this is really about who these characters are as they're moving through this world. Very much like The Walking Dead, it's about the characters, not the plot. On October 12th, Jane the Virgin comes back, and Jane the Virgin is fan-frickin-tastic. It is just, so much. It is like the world to me. It is so great, and I could not wait every week to get the next installment. It's a telenovela at its best. So for this, I decided to recommend Everything by Nicola Yoon. It doesn't quite have that over-the-top nature, but it does have that heartwarming, makes you feel things kind of thing that's in it. So finally, on October 30th, Grimm comes back. I don't have anything to recommend for this, sorry, but it is such an eerie and sweet and strange show, and after what happened at the end of last season, I need to find out what's going to happen next. So yeah, those are all the books that I recommend in comparison with the shows that I like and enjoy. If there are any shows that you like and you think books that might go along, or just books that you just want to recommend to me in general, leave them down below in the comments, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.